With this drill, it's really important to take it step by step. So you're going to start off with the basic movement pattern, and then you can progress up to a full pivot motion, including great sequence. So all we need basically 2 alignment sticks. So you get the first alignment stick, and all you're going to do is going to put it through your belt loops, like so. Just get it there so it's nice and even. And the second one is just going to be for your shoulders. Okay, so a little bit of an awareness. So step 1 with this sequencing awareness drill, all we're going to do is we're going to get into a setup position. And what we're going to try and do is do some separation work. So for example, if I want to rotate my lower body, my hips, independently of my shoulders, can I do it? Okay, the opposite, if I want to keep my lower body nice and still and rotate my shoulders, can I do it? Is it difficult? Is it easy? This is a great awareness drill you can do in front of a mirror, and you can start to see, are we able to and are we aware of how to rotate our hips and our torso independently of one another. This is one of the key skills in developing consistency, power, distance, you name it, in your golf swing. So once we've got our awareness of how to separate our lower half from our upper half, that first step, we're then going to work on our backswing sequencing. So again, we're going to set up, and what we're going to be aware of is in our backswing, I want you to have the sensation that our upper body is going to start that backswing motion. And as our upper body starts, that will begin to then pull the lower body with it, so we can get this lovely loaded position. You'll notice the hips are turned approximately 45 degrees and the shoulders 90. So the shoulders have turned a little bit more than our hips. Now if you're a player that struggles with the right hip, maybe over rotating too early in the takeaway, or the opposite, maybe if there's very little rotation and maybe the right hip slides away from the target, you're going to notice this sequencing in our backswing is going to be off. So if I have a little bit of slide at my right hip, you can notice it's very hard to rotate. And then if my lower body rotates too quickly, you'll see my hips and my shoulders almost turn the same amount. Both of those have very little separation, and they're going to cause some inconsistencies in the golf swing. So backswing step, we're just going to feel the torso, going to start this move and up to the top, and I'm going to sort of feel the pressure shift a little bit inside my right foot. Okay, and I'm going to, again, you can be looking in the mirror, rehearsing that backswing sequence. It's going to be really, really good. Okay, so we've got our setup, we're aware of our separation, our lower and our upper half, and we've figured out how to have a good sequence into the top of the backswing. Now, the downswing sequence, this is a really important one, so our transition. So one of the biggest problems with transition, you're going to see players coming over the top of the swing. Typically you're going to see slices and pulls. Now one of the big keys of that is poor sequencing in our transition from top of the swing into impact. So again, we're going to get into our setup. We're going to rotate up to the top with that good sequence. Now as I start to make my downswing, when you're in front of the mirror, you're going to sort of see this lower half, or the stick around my belt loops, is going to move before my upper half. So if you get up to the top and you notice the upper half or the top stick is sort of outracing the lower body, it's a good sign there's very little separation, and you're more than likely going to see a very steep club path on the way through impact. So your checkpoints when you're working on your downswing sequence with this drill is you're going to feel the pressure go into the left, and you're going to feel this alignment stick going to make a bigger gap from the top one. And what that's doing, you know, some of the most powerful players, it's putting an extra stretch in the downswing. So it's called the X factor stretch shortening cycle. So you're basically, it's almost like getting an elastic band, stretching it and then letting it go. So up to the top, feel the lower body go first, and then you can start to work all the way up into a nice balanced finish position. So you've got your separation, you've got your backswing sequence, and you've got your downswing sequence. Now there's also something you can study about your swing when you're looking at it from a down the line perspective. So up to now we've been working on the golf swing more from a face on, and this is more, if we have a look from down the line, some really, really important pieces of the swing. So again, as I work on my backswing sequence, you're going to notice that the top stick, okay, is pointing slightly down to the ground. And you're also going to notice that my hips, they're not turning level, they're turning and tilting, so they have this tilted look at setup where the left hip is going to be lower than the right. Okay, so when you can do this, you're going to notice in a mirror, you're going to look for feedback. You're looking for this top stick and the bottom stick pointing towards the ground. Then as you work on your downswing sequence, we're going to have the same feeling. So on the way through, we're going to see the right hip is a little bit lower than the left, so the bottom stick's pointing down, and you'll also see the top stick pointing to the ground as well. So it's a great sign that I've maintained my dynamic posture, and if I can do that, I'm going to be able to create a much more consistent strike on the ball and low point during the swing. So not only is this great for looking at sequencing, rotation, it's also great for looking at, are we creating a good inclination to the ground and maintaining it throughout the swing and then up to the finish. So I think these two sticks, if you go through that step-by-step process, you're going to create just much more awareness of how your body's moving and how we want it to move, and most importantly, how does that feel for you in the swing, so you can then repeat it when you go out to practice or play.